What's up, y'all? It's Truth Tiger, and I'm going to talk about narcissists today. And narcissists want you to question every single move you make. Narcissists want you to doubt yourself. And narcissists just want you in the state where you're so confused about what to do, about what's okay, that you're just kind of in this scared stasis where you feel like you have to ask them permission if it's even okay to breathe, you know? And I'll break this down more. So, narcissists will do this thing where, a lot of times, people, we don't really always know what's kind of okay. We know what's okay and what's not okay, but you never know with certain people and with certain situations and people as individuals and stuff. So you kind of are in this state where you don't really know kind of what the rules are, if that makes sense. Or you kind of know the rules, but you're not sure about the finer points of things. So, most people are in a state where they're not that sure of themselves. They're not that sure of the stuff that's going on around them. And narcissists really jump on this, and they really take advantage of this. And they'll start to criticize you a lot. They'll start to come with a lot of guilt and shame. And it's like you'll do something, you won't even know what you did or what you said, but they're going to get really mad at it, really offended by it. They're going to come at you with this whole thing about how you're some terrible person and how could you do that. And, it could be something simple. Let's say you go to their house and they want you to take your shoes off, but they didn't tell you, you didn't know, you didn't see other people doing it. And then they're like, oh my gosh, you didn't take your shoes off and you tracked mud in the house and that's terrible. How could you do that? Now I'm going to have to vacuum, and you're so insensitive. You're not even thinking about me having to vacuum the floor, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, I didn't know, I didn't know that you wanted me to take my shoes off. Had you told me, I would have done it, no problem at all, but they'll do this thing and it'll get you in this freaked out kind of state where you're like, man, I don't want to tiptoe in the wrong direction and have someone freak out at me, I don't want to get someone to trip out on me. And there's weird rules they have. They'll be like, oh, you have to take your keys out of your pocket, put it in the bowl or whatever. Or just something weird like that. And it's like, you don't want it in there being all uncomfortable in your pocket. Do you? You might lose it. You wouldn't want to lose your keys. That'd be really terrible for you. And they'll go on this whole freaking thing, and it's very weird, Or they'll find something you're doing. They'll find some way you're washing the dishes, and it's like, oh, when you're scrubbing, you're moving it back and forth. You have to make a circle. You have to do this and that, and it's like they'll come at you with the whole thing. Are you stupid? Did nobody ever teach you this? And they'll really jump on your back hard, and it can really take you off guard and can get you in a point where you're just trying to kind of put your hands up to defend yourself and be like, hey, I didn't know this was such a problem. Is it really that big of an issue how I'm doing it? And it'll get you all shaken up to where you're like, all right, if I step this way, is that a problem? And it's a lot of stuff they'll do. Another one they'll do, like they can maybe have their headphones in. You got to tell them something, though. You got something really important, you got to tell them. And a lot of times, unfortunately, these narcissists trick us and worm our way into our lives and become a close friend, or unfortunately someone who we are in a romantic relationship with. A lot of times they're our own parents, so we're just kind of born into it, so we just got to deal with these freaking people, but it'll just be a situation where you'll come up to them, you'll be like, hey, like, I really got something very important I got to tell you, and they'll be like, what, can't you see I'm having private time, can't you see, and I'd really be like, man, like, if I even want to ask this person something or talk to them about something, they're going to just act so bothered and so annoyed just by me needing the smallest amount of their time. It'll really get you like, man, like, is it even okay to ask people things? Is it even okay to try to get someone's attention? And they'll play all these shitty mind games with you. But the thing is, it's a total one-way street. They'll come and invade the crap out of your space. You got your headphones in, you're obviously don't want to be bothered. They'll come right up to you, take up so much of your time, so much of your space, and if you're like, hey, I need a little private time here, they'll be, oh, well, I can't talk to you, It's just like, they're so just hypocritical, and they're so inconsiderate. They just want to like have it all for them and nothing for you, and there's no sense of like, hey, this is another person here. Like, for real. I don't deal with these people in my life on a personal level in any capacity. I don't care if they're family or whatever. Anybody who's like this can kick rocks in my life, and I've gotten rid of all the people in my life who act like this, and if there's someone who's a coworker or something like that, I'll make a point to not be friends with them. I won't be mean to them. I won't go out of my way to like be weird to them or whatever. I'm not going to do the kind of crap they do, but I'll make a point to keep conversations very short. Gray rock. And what gray rock means is just like if you have some narcissists, they're like, oh, what did you do this weekend? You're like, oh, just hung out, you know? And then they'll be like, oh, I got to show you all this stuff. I got to show you these pictures on my phone. I got to take up all your time and attention and talk about myself a lot. And you just go, oh, I'm busy right now. Sorry, I just got some stuff I got to do. You know, you just kind of like calmly kind of shut them down when they start to come up to you and whatever, ask you weird questions, pry into your life. You just go, oh, none of your business. Oh, I don't really want to talk about that right now. You know, you just do stuff like that to kind of shut them down. And I do that a lot, and it's what you should do. That's what gray rocking is if you don't know. But yeah, back to the topic. Like, yeah, these narcissists, they want you to get you all shook up to where you are questioning every move that you make, you know? And a lot of times, unfortunately, these narcissists can be in positions of authority. Our parents. A lot of us have had narcissistic parents. I know I have. And it's a common thing. And if you've had a teacher or a coach or a manager at work or whatever, they will abuse the crap out of whatever so-called authority they have. So if you got a narcissistic manager at work, they're trying to teach you something, they're like, this is how we do it. Hey, pay attention. What are you doing? You know, this is how we do it. They'll give you really bad instructions. They'll go through it fast. And then they'll look at the stuff you're doing. But, oh, you do it like that? Oh, you look at your computer screen like that? Oh, you type like that? Oh, when you walk, you put one foot in front of the other like that? Like, they'll zoom in on the weirdest things that you do. And they'll try to turn it into some flaw and some kind of bad thing. And if you're not mentally strong, if you don't know what's going on, and if these people have deceived you to where you think that they are a friend or you think that they are someone who's on your side, this stuff can get in and you can start to believe in it, and it can start to really mess your mind up. And then going forward in life with other people and other situations, you're going to be very like, oh, is it okay to even talk to that person? Is it okay to say that? You know, they'll really freak out about the things you say too, because the thing about narcissists, it's all about their ego. So if you say anything that bothers their ego at all, even if it's true, especially if it's true, you know, if you say something that's true and it bothers their ego at all, they're going to freak out. And they're going to, how could you say that? How could you say that to me? You're so insensitive, blah, 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 blah. Which, I mean, really, they're the ones who are insensitive because they don't show any sensitivity or empathy toward you whatsoever. But they'll start freaking out and freaking going crazy and stuff over any little thing you say. You know, you didn't even mean it. It's like, oh, you used to date so-and-so. It's a shame you guys broke up. How dare you bring that up? Blah, blah, blah. You don't know that. It's a sensitive thing, whatever. It's like, I didn't know you felt that way about it. I wasn't saying that to like, you know, to try to like bring that stuff up or whatever. I didn't know that was an open wound, you know, just trying to make conversation. But it's like anything you say, you can step on a lot of landmines with them very, very easily. And, you know, you say something and they'll take it as a slight somehow or an insult somehow, or if they're doing something and you're not a fan of it. And I've had this before where they're doing something and I'm like, hey, that's not the right thing to do. What are you doing? You know, and I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm just like, that's not right. Come on, you know. And then they're like, what? How dare you say that? And they'll get so mad and they'll freak out so much because they're control freaks. And if you're like, no, I'm going to stand on my 2 feet, stand on business. I know what's up. I know what's going on. I can lead things. I can be a leader, you know, whatever, you know, and especially like if you know what's up, like, you know, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm someone who tends to know what's up and tends to like, you know, try to figure things out, figure out how things work and figure out the most efficient ways to do things. And when I do that, and especially if they know I'm right, oh, they lose it. They lose it. And especially if they can't even say anything to me because they do know I'm right. I've seen them just pout in the corner, get angry, get passive aggressive, get pissy, just get weird, get real weird. And you can be tempted to not do that. And be smart about how you deal with these people. I would say don't talk to them if you don't need to, but sometimes you do need to confront people. You need to correct them on something, whatever, and just watch them freaking go nuts, you know? And it's like, in a healthy relationship, you should be able to tell someone, like, hey, like, if someone's screwing something up, I mean, not in a mean way, but just to say, hey, that's not the right thing to be doing, you know? Not in a mean way to try to trip them up, you know, like narcissists do, but you should be able to do that. And also, in a healthy relationship, you know, there's not going to be this weird narcissistic criticism where they zoom in on, like, everything you do. They're like, I don't like the way you walk. I don't like the way you talk. In, like, a normal relationship, people are not going to do that, you know? Like, these narcissists, they'll just, like, zoom in on something like, oh, you walk a little bit weird. I've literally had them, like, do stuff. You walk a little bit weird. Did this happen? That's an indication that, like, you know, you're maybe not a good person or something. I'm trying to think how to describe this, but there's some weird version of this where they'll look at something I do and they'll try to, like, turn it into some flaw somehow. Like, oh, you type on your computer keyboard a little weird. Did you have, like, developmental issues or something? I'm like, no. What are you talking about? But they'll do stuff like that. They'll just pull this crap out of nowhere. And you got to stand firm. You got to stand up on your own 2 feet, gray rock, and you got to be the bull, you know? I'm just going to say it in this video. I don't say it in a lot of videos, but these narcissists, they're snakes, they're scorpions, whatever, they're cockroaches. You got to be the bull, and you got to just freaking stomp on them. You know, you do. You do. And get them out of your life. Don't get into conflicts. Don't get into arguments. I'm not saying to, like, go after them and stuff like that. Like, just don't deal with them if you don't have to deal with them, gray rock or whatever. But if you're at an impasse where it's you and them and you're gonna have a conflict, be a bull, stand on your own 2 feet, and don't put up with any of their crap. Like, really, I'm gonna say that. Like, a lot of other narcissist channels won't say that, but, like, be a bull, stand on your own 2 feet. And if they start to gaslight and say this stuff, you're like, no, you're misrepresenting the facts. You're twisting up the story. One thing they'll also do, like, if let's say someone's like, I'm gonna be there 10:30, and then the guy shows up at 10:45, they're like, he lied, he's a liar, he's so dishonest. And it's like, there's a difference between someone outright lying and someone, you know, whatever, just like miscalculating something. You know, I've also had, like, narcissists at work be like, how long does it take you to do this? I'm like, well, it takes me about half an hour. It's like, all right, so you're here 8 hours, it's half an hour and an hour, so that means you could do this 16 times in the day. I'm like, all right, what about lunch break? What about answering emails? What about other stuff I deal with? What about this? What about that? And it's like, they don't, like, I don't know, they're very, like, I'm trying to think of the right word, but they're so, like, myopic, I guess. I don't know, they like, they see everything as just black and white. And when you're like, no, like, what? It's funny when they get actual responsibility and they just, like, can't make sense of, like, basic things like that. Like human factors and stuff. But yeah, back on topic. They're gonna, like, and the thing is like, that was actually a good thing to bring up because they don't reason normally. They don't see the world normally. They don't, like, see things for what they are at all. They have these very unrealistic, like, hyper idealized, like, expectations of things, and they think everything's just gonna, like, be great for them, and everyone's just gonna, like, they just think, like, they're gonna get everything handed to them on a silver platter. They're incredibly entitled people. They are. I mean, that's a big part of what makes them narcissists. They are super entitled, and they think their own farts smell good. And when you have people like that, they think they know what's best. They think they know what's better. And they think they have this, like, duty to, like, go around and, like, criticize people and, like, try to correct things that people do. And they think they have this, like, duty to do that. And it's not, like, annoying and it's not unhelpful. Maybe they're doing it on purpose to try to trip you out. I don't know. Probably a combination of both. But my point is they're just people who do not see the world in any kind of a normal way at all. They don't see things realistically at all. They see everything in black and white, and they don't see the full picture of things whatsoever. So just realize, like, you're dealing with a crazy person. You're not dealing with someone who is sane. So, like, don't take what they say seriously. Don't take their suggestions seriously. Don't take their criticism seriously. If there is some crazy guy on the street, yelling at you, yelling crazy stuff at you, would you take that guy seriously, or would you just be like, that's some crazy guy? So you got to kind of have that mentality toward them. That they're not sane people, they're not normal people, they're not regulated people. They are completely out to lunch. They are completely nuts, and they have no view or perspective of reality whatsoever. Because they'll do this thing where they'll criticize you and stuff. Then they'll do weird, insane stuff that's just they really should not be doing at all. I had a narcissistic roommate. He'd throw kitchen knives in the sink, and I remember I was like, hey, that's dangerous. Don't do that, because he was Mr. Criticism and Mr. You have to do everything my way, whatever. And then there's this moment of oh, it's not a big, because he kind of knew that hey, I got you dead to rights here. So he's like, well, it's not a big deal, whatever. And it's just yo, these people are cracked. Don't take their stuff seriously at all. But if you start to, it's you become cracked like them, because I don't think they know, I don't think they have any sense of what's normal or regular or what they should be doing. I think they're just totally confused, and they're just hanging on to ego, and they're hanging on to this false confidence and this false sense of superiority because they just hate themselves. They deeply hate themselves. They're I hate myself, and I'm an insignificant cockroach, so I'm going to hang on to these grandiose delusions for dear life because I don't want to look at the freaking roach that I am in the mirror. I don't want to look at how fucking gross and pathetic I am. So I'm going to just hold on to my ego, hold on to my delusions, and become more deluded and just lie to myself more and more. And if anyone threatens those lies, I am going to freak out on that person. I'm going to go crazy on that person. I'm going to go nuts on that person if they threaten my delusions that I'm holding on to. And a lot of people are like this. There's a lot more narcissists than you think. I really think 50% of people are narcissists. This kind of person is just way too common. Way too common. And you don't want to be friends with them. You don't want to hang out with them. If they're family, you're probably going to have to cut them out. Yeah, you don't want to have these people around in your life. But the thing is, they will really jump on you with hardcore criticism, and they'll I've had a lot of them. They'll zoom in on every little detail of things you do. I remember I was in the gym. I had a narcissist I was dealing with there, and it's oh, when you pick the weights up off the rack, the way you do that is you should be doing it with this or whatever. Just weird things like that, where it's who cares? Why is there some weird way you're dictating that I have to do everything? It's a very strange thing that they do. And the thing is they're very emotionally volatile. They don't have emotional control. So they're just constantly in this depressive rage kind of state where they're all angry and depressed and weird. So they could just go off and blow up at you for literally no reason. They're just a freaking time bomb waiting to blow up. So if it's you close the door too loud and they're freaking out at you about how you have to close the door a certain way or whatever, just realize that that's not coming from a place of truth. And this whole tiptoeing way they're trying to make you be, it's just because they're insane people and they just freak out. And they also want someone to kick around too. They want to find someone they can kick around and criticize and treat weird to let their anger out on. And just realize that it's not coming from a place of truth or normalcy. They're just weird, crazy, angry, evil, hateful. They're just bad people. They're just trash, toxic people is the bottom line. So if they're coming at you with all this weird stuff about, I don't know, you say something you don't even mean, and then they're, oh, that insulted me so much, whatever, or whatever it is, they start freaking out about stuff. Just realize that that's not coming from a place of truth, and you should not be regulating yourself based on that. Be your own person, live your own life, and just ignore that noise, because they're just going to start to trip out. One thing also, I've had some narcissists that are super clingy and possessive and stuff, and if I don't text them or whatever, they start freaking out, and they're like, oh, you have to text me 20 times a day, and I texted you, and you took 20 minutes to respond to my text message, and it hurt my feelings so much. Like, nah, like, live your own life, do stuff your own. They're trying to just control you because they're insecure. They're insecure, and they don't have control over themselves and their own emotions and their own thoughts, or they don't have control over nothing, so they're trying to reach out and control you. So just realize what all this stuff is. All these guilt trips, all these freak outs, all this, like, things they're trying to teach you about how you have to do everything. Like, it's a bunch of BS, and there's not quality to it. Like, just do what makes sense for you in your own life. Like, don't let these people do this, because it's going to put you in this state where you're like, you know, you're just going to be so, like, weird around people because of all this, like, criticism they're hitting you with. It's going to make you, like, so you're like, is it okay if I say this? Is it okay if I open this door up? Is it okay if I walk in here? Is it okay if I look over there? Is it okay if I look at you? Is it okay if I pick up a book off the bookshelf? Will it be too loud? Is it okay if I turn on the faucet? Will the water be too loud? Will it waste water? Do I have to... You know, I mean, a lot of them do weird stuff, man. They got these weird ways they live, you know. It's like, if I leave the faucet on while I brush my teeth, is it the worst thing in the world? You know, like, they got this weird freaking crap they do, and just, like, especially as a kid growing up with parents like this, it can get you weirded out. It can get you tripped out. Like, I remember my parents would tell me to, like, if you're going to eat a cookie, eat it over the sink, because you might get some crumbs on the floor or whatever. And just, like, it's just like this way of living life where just like, God, dear God, like, there's just weird rules for everything. And it's like, you got some crumbs on the floor. It's so bad. Like, just realize, like, live your life. Do what makes sense. And just don't let this trauma of this stuff, like, get to you. Just live your life, and don't be so, like, freaked out. Don't be so, like, oh, if I say something to them, they might freak out at me. It'll really get you to a point, like I said this earlier before, where there are some times where you got to speak up for yourself. There's some times you got to tell people no. There's some times you got to correct people. That's not all the time, but there's times you got to do that. And with all this narcissistic stuff, it'll get you in a state of mind of like, being a people pleaser and being like, oh, I can't say no. I can't upset anyone. I can't make anybody unhappy. Yeah, you can. Who cares? Just try to be kind. Try to be loving. Don't be a jerk to people. Don't, like, be trying to boss people around to boost your ego like they do. But there's times where you got to stand up on your own 2 feet and say, hey, I'm the leader. I'm in charge here. We're not doing this crap. Or you got to say, hey, I have boundaries, and you're stepping over them right now big, and you got to step off, you know? You could say that. Or you could say, hey, this guilt trip, this crap you're telling me, it's ridiculous. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to go there. No, you know? And you got to do that stuff. You got to. And if they come at you with all this manipulation, say no. Say no, you know? And the thing I talk about being the leader is, like, the reason why I say that is because narcissists are so obsessed with control, and they will do anything to try to put themselves in a leadership position, despite being the most incompetent, emotionally unstable, despite being the worst possible candidate for that. Despite being totally, like, emotionally unstable, their mind is so twisted up, they have no sense of strategy or tactics. It's just like, because they're egotistical, they're going to try to put themselves to the top of the totem pole. And don't let them. Don't let them say, nope, this is my zone, this is my domain. And I mean, don't always do that everywhere. You know, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Like, don't like try to, like, come into every situation and be, I'm the leader here. But be willing to take on leadership. Be willing to play the role of a leader if you need to. If that's available to you, step up to it, you know. Don't let them come in and say they're the leader or whatever. Don't let them take that position. And if they do happen to be your boss at work or a teacher or something, just kind of brush them off. Don't take them that serious. Just do what you got to do, you know, to get by or whatever. But just don't really be playing into their games, you know. And just be in charge of yourself, you know. Stand on your own 2 feet. Be in charge of yourself. And just don't let all this stupid stuff they do get to you. Don't let it mess with you. because they're trying to make you question your every move. They're trying to get you so in a state where you're like, oh, I said that, I'm so sorry, did that offend you, did that bother you? They want to get you in that kind of state where you're just like where you're so just like tripped out, like, I'm so sorry, I didn't take my shoes off and I got a little mud on, I'm so sorry, it's gonna inconvenience you so hard, I'm so sorry, please. They want you in this just effed up state, and I'm telling you, don't get in that effed up state. Don't submit to that, don't buy into that, don't play it, don't do it, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you all so much for watching. Much love, God bless, and I will see you all next time.